Donald Trump can be referred to as President 45 or President 47, but I run the numbers on his recent performance that is trending because of photos like this, and I declare him President 69 because, being the nerd I am, I have calculated that 69 degrees is his resting angle during cabinet meetings. And in today's breaking story, CNN throws gasoline on the Trump sleeping dumpster fire with a supercut you don't want to miss. I'm Dan, and welcome to another Occupy Democrats report. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button so you'll see all of our videos exposing Trump's chaos, corruption, and sometimes his nappy naps. And now let's jump into this report by putting that graphic back up because I worked way too hard on it not to milk it. This first video compilation is my own supercut to get you up to speed on the story that, unlike Trump, just won't stop. And then I'll show you the CNN supercut that shows the Donald's own insults coming back to slap him in his tired face.
A global coalition of countries that line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace, and it's still every day is a challenge.
And you can judge, like this strikes me as midday nap style head bobbing.
I can say, sir, that we are moving to return education to the states and to bring the level of education back up, making sure our students can read.
I've been there. Like, I'm not judging. I appreciate a good midday nap, but I'm not the president. So
Are reintroducing the science of reading in schools.
You don't, as president of the United States, begin your day at 12:08 p.m. You were liking that offline to what we used to do in college, and that's right. That's not a normal time when you're older to be starting your day. In fact, as we get older, we should be starting our day a lot earlier because we tend to not get enough sleep.
Thrilled to be part of the National Park Service, the U.S. Park Police, part of this great effort across a number of us on making D.C. safe and beautiful. This will be the safest and most beautiful capital in the world.
Two, as you pointed out, you and I had this conversation last week. We took pains to not speculate because I think a lot of people like to speculate. And I think based on the conversation we started, a lot of people started asking questions. But it's clear that there's age-related cognitive decline. I mean, that's obvious.
We are doing so many things, whether it's hundreds of homeless camps, thousands of graffiti sites, cleaning up ponds and fountains.
And so let's take a look, and you can tell me if this is full sleep, half sleep, how you would grade it.
Working with Christian Department of Homeland Security, making sure that everyone that lives inside of public housing is accounted for and that they are American people.
And I'm just drifting and I do the little head jerk thing.
Yeah, that is the most relatable he has really ever been in these moments.
So all these things, when this constellation of just him being him, imagine if President Biden did any of those things. He did a fraction of it from what I saw, and the lead up to the 2024 election, and people obviously forced him out of the race. You're not seeing that level of scrutiny until maybe now you're starting to see signs of it.
Much respect to alt media titans like Midas, Zateo, and The Bulwark. And now let's look at today's sign from traditional media as CNN delivers some very sleepy receipts to the Donald.
So the president said a lot during Tuesday's cabinet meeting at the White House, but there were plenty of moments where he wasn't saying anything at all. In fact, while his secretaries went around the table, the 79-year-old president might have looked to some as though he may have dozed off a few times. Eyes closed, head nodding down. The White House says what you're seeing here is the president listening attentively while running basically a marathon 3-hour cabinet meeting. So why are we talking about this? Well, it's something that Trump himself made a central issue on the campaign trail a year ago.
He spends a day and then comes back. He falls asleep at every single event. They don't target Joe on the beach as he sleeps. He sleeps. How do you fall asleep when cameras are raging? I wish I could do that. Sleep with the cameras.
Listen, my pastor will say I should not be talking about this, okay? Because I've been busted. But is it part of the ongoing conversation as people are noodling around Trump's health?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like a level of hypocrisy here about, his own ability to remain really alert and awake in performing his duties. But I do think there's like a question here about why it's stuck so much with Biden when it doesn't seem to stick with Trump.
I think the reason it doesn't stick is because Democrats don't have a messenger who is calling him Sleepy Don over and over and over again. The branding is not there, and they're not as ruthless about, making the criticism. However, I just want to say I think we should all across the country hope for a well-rested president of the United States who is able to do everything he needs to do because he's got a big job. So if he needs to take a nap, he should take it.
Last word to you, Charlie.
Well, you know, a lot of people around 80 years old sometimes like to take a nap in the afternoon. The ones I know.
It is obvious that President 69 needs his rest, but is a cabinet meeting the place to find that much-needed REM sleep? You may have seen a similar performance from your grandpa Jack, Joe, or John, who caught some Z's after Thanksgiving dinner. But the difference is Jack, Joe, or John have retired. Trump is desperately clinging to something that's trying to leave him behind. Being the leader of the free world requires so much energy, and I hope Americans stop nominating 79-year-olds, but here we are. And Trump is also racing to unload all of that anger and revenge before his time is up. He has burned through all of the reserves in the tank and is running on empty.